Hey everyone, today I'm using up all the bits and pieces that were on my desk. Some of them are leftover sentiments, some of them are leftover stamped images, some of them are die cuts. I don't get through everything that you can see here, but I did get through a ton of it. And I do that by basically focusing on really simple card design. So I have white card bases ready to go. These are A2, so they're 5.5 by 4.25. And then I've got my kraft backing panels and my grey, because I figure it doesn't matter what the paper is that I'm using or what the elements are. Traditionally, anything will match with one or the other. So I do use both throughout the creation of these cards. The bits that I'm also doing here, these are from the cardboard that is at the front of a paper pad. So rather than throwing that out, the part that has the description, like the pad name and the company, I chop all of that off. And then I just keep this strip. It's about 2 inches wide normally. And I am matting them on white cardstock. The thought here is if I can actually turn everything on my desk into a card element that just needs to be compiled together, I can then figure out the combinations that will create some really simple cards, whether they're thank you cards or birthday cards or just generic sentiments. I'm not really fussy. I just want to tidy up the bits and pieces on my desk and create some cards out of it. And today I thought I would record it so that you can see what I do when I build up a bit of stash of odds and ends. There is an absolute mix of brands and different styles of paper pad here, as well as stamps. I will do my best to link everything below, just in case something catches your eye and you're trying to figure out what it is. There's Paper Rose, Brutus Monroe, Uniquely Creative, Cocoa Vanilla, there's some Lawn Fawn stamps, I think there's a bit of kraft. As I said, I use so many different brands when I'm creating cards. I pick the things that speak to me. I don't normally stick to a specific brand. For the white matting layer here, I'm not using a heavy cardstock, but this also isn't copy paper. Whenever I do white layers, I use about 200 GSM, so it's probably double or a little bit heavier than normal copy paper. I just find that gives a really true bright white and also creates just enough weight to the elements that they hold their own on a card. And when you layer them, they seem to sit nice and flat and nice and clean. So I'm going to run through here and I'm going to chop all of these up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all of those elements you see on the right hand side of the screen. I'm going to add those to white layers as well. I will skip through this because I just think, you know, once you've layered paper, you know how to layer paper. Okay, those are now all complete and I'm starting my first card. I'm going to use this little video game style strip. I've just layered it on the paper. I'm going to put it across horizontally and use one of these gaming controllers and a happy birthday. I do have other videos where I've created this exact same card, but somehow I just ended up with this leftover piece. So here we go, there's another one. Up next, I'm going to try out a grey backing panel. At this point, I was just trying to figure out what I've got on my desk, what I think will work, the size of the pieces, and what else I could partner them up with. And so I started here with this absolutely gorgeous Paper Rose red and pink and black paper. And then I have no idea why, but I had 2 strips of pink checkered paper and that matched pretty well. And then I had a couple of sentiments. One of them, actually both of these are from another Paper Rose collection that is linked to butterflies. I can't remember what it's called, but I will put a link below. And all of it just seemed to go pretty nicely together, so I thought, why not? There is a lot of out of my comfort zone here and I'm just winging it because I figure all I'm doing is playing with paper, and if I don't really love it, at least I will maybe learn for next time what works and what does not. So this is literally 5 different brands of things on one card, which I kind of love. I love trying to just make it all work and turn into something that is quite a unique creation. Here I was wanting the second strip to really hang down below the pattern paper element, and because it wasn't long enough, I just did that age-old trick of cut it in half, put a little bit of extra paper in between so that it doesn't sag, and no one will ever know the difference. So a little bit of paper surgery is going on here to try and get the design that I'm looking for. The other thing that I've done is you'll notice that I cut the matted piece into two. It was quite long, so it would have taken up most of the card. And this way, because I had the two pink strips, I decided to create two cards that were similar. If I hadn't had this, I would have actually put that one strip onto one card and moved on. But because I was able to get two cards that were quite similar, this is the way I decided to use it in the end. And I do get a bit of a kick out of the fact that I've used the Brutus Monroe Pastel Deco paper and the Paper Rose Urban Garden, literally my two favourite paper pads, well, in my top 5 that I've ever purchased. I just love them. I think they're amazing. And so here I've got a slightly different sentiment for the second one, but very similar layout. So I now have, it feels like I'm messing around with a deck of cards here, and I'm just trying to lay out, what will match together, which way's up, which way's down. Some of these papers do have a direction on them. For example, one of them has a sort of sketchy tree design. So I was trying to make sure that I had everything facing the correct direction. I think trying to use up these little ladybird red and white elements, I was really keen to do that. They have been in my little spares jar for, I cannot even begin to explain how long, probably 2 years. And I've just never got the right thing to go with it, and it just never seems to work. So you'll see in a minute whether I managed to use both or one, but they were one of my target things that I wanted to use up. The other thing that I haven't been able to use so far, and I did not use today, spoiler alert, is the pink hugs on cream. So that's up towards the top of my screen. And the big challenge I have with that is I constantly used white card bases and I use white as a layering element. So that cream is just never going to work. So at some point I will probably end up with a paper pad that has cream in it, and I'll figure out a way to use it. And then that hug sentiment is going to be the perfect thing to complete the right card. But for the moment, it is going to sit in my spares drawer. Okay, so here I'm getting a whole series of the Kraft backing panels ready to go. I felt like if I worked in stages and I switched between the Kraft and the grey, that would probably work best. And so for these really, really bright colours, I was able to partner them up with this Sending a Summer Hello. These were spares from a previous Show Us Your Sheet load that I did from, I'm going to say probably 2 or 3 months ago, where it was a slimline card with a really unique topper. So I used those Summer Hello as the topper part of the card, and I always end up with spares of things, so there was 3 or 4 of these left. So they're absolutely perfect for this project here. And again, I'm really thrilled that I've got some more space in my little container where I put all of my spares, because at the rate that I'm creating cards at the moment, it is going to need some space to have some leftovers from some of my other projects that I've been working on. It did just occur to me that there might be some spoilers in here. So there's probably some items here on my desk from videos that I haven't released yet, but I think that's okay. Maybe it can be a bit of a teaser for what's to come. And if anyone's eagle-eyed, they might notice, if you regularly watch my videos, that there's some things in here that I have not released the primary video for those yet. If you find this kind of video helpful, then let me know. I wasn't too sure about creating this because it is very jumbled up. It's using a bunch of leftovers. It's not something that you could possibly recreate if you like watching a video and then recreating cards that someone creates using a particular paper pad. It is a jumbled up mess, but for me, I do share my thought process of why I make the decisions that I'm making, the leftovers that I choose to keep and those that I don't. So if it's helpful, please let me know, or hit the like button. So a comment or a like is the best way. And then I will know to create some more of these. One of the things I always keep is these 1/2-inch strips of coloured cardstock. I seem to end up with them when I do projects. It's always, cut 1/2 inch off here or cut 1 inch off there. And with these, I find if you just create multiple strips, either, again, lay it on white cardstock, or just as a level of interest behind something such as this card, you can definitely put them to good use. So this card is really, really simple, but I think the brown stripes just add that little bit of an interest layer behind it. And by the time I add on this little happy birthday sentiment, I think it looks kind of cute. All right, I talked earlier about the ladybug pieces, and I will say that I did use only one of them. And so here I'm preparing a whole bunch of grey backing panels for my next wave of cards. And I don't show putting all of those together, just a few of them, but I did want to let you know that I definitely did use one of the ladybugs. And I have put a copy of that card right here for you so that you can see I did figure out a way to make it work. I have put another video here that I think you might enjoy. Have a great day.